On a freezing night in February 2004, a 21-year-old nursing student lost control of her car on a rural New Hampshire road. She hit a snowbank, leaving her vehicle disabled in a remote area. A local resident stopped to help, but the driver refused. She told him she had already called for a tow truck and asked him not to call the police. The witness called the police anyway once he got home. But when the first officer arrived on this stretch of road only minutes later, the car was empty. Maura Murray was gone. Investigators found no footprints in the deep snow surrounding the car and no signs of a struggle. Aside from the damaged vehicle, the scene was physically vacant. To understand the physical disappearance at the crash site, we have to look back at the week leading up to it. Days before she left, Maura's friends at the University of Massachusetts noted she seemed under significant stress. On February 9th, she sent an email to her professors claiming she would be away for a week to deal with a family emergency. Investigators later contacted her family and discovered there was no such emergency. No one in her inner circle knew why she had requested the time off. Before leaving, she packed her dorm room belongings into boxes. She wasn't just preparing for a week away, she was clearing out her living space. She then went to an ATM, similar to these machines, and withdrew nearly all the money in her account. She got into her car and drove toward the White Mountains without telling anyone where she was headed. These preparations, the packed boxes, the withdrawn cash, and the misleading email, suggest her departure was an intentional choice to leave her current environment behind. At 7:27 p.m., that intentional journey ended abruptly in a snowbank. Maura was stranded in a location far from any intended destination. When she told the witness she had already called for roadside assistance, she was making a claim that phone records would later disprove. No such call had been placed from her cell phone. The witness drove away, and police arrived 7 minutes later. In that window, Maura vanished. Tracking dogs arrived shortly after, but failed to pick up a scent. The lack of a trail suggests she didn't leave on foot. A massive search followed, using helicopters like this one to scan the dense forest and frozen terrain. Despite the scale of the effort, no trace of her was found. 4 theories dominate the case. She successfully started a new life, succumbed to the winter elements, was abducted by a stranger, or fell victim to foul play. The central question remains whether her intent to leave her life led her to orchestrate a disappearance, or if it simply placed her in a vulnerable position where a random tragedy occurred. 2 decades later, investigators are still looking for answers. These physical archives represent thousands of pages of interviews and leads that have yet to result in a breakthrough. The case has since become a focal point for the true crime community, spawning countless podcasts and documentaries as people try to find the detail that everyone else missed. For her family, the lack of resolution means living in a state of constant uncertainty, waiting for any definitive piece of evidence. Maura Murray's story remains a conflict between actions before the crash. Which theory do you find most plausible? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more case breakdowns.